All right, I want you guys to see this. Ibrahim Traore, the man himself that everybody knows about. Listen to this.
That Ibrahim Traore is the first and only president who receives medical treatment in his own country. He built hospitals to a high standard so that even a president can be treated without complaint. He doesn't steal the country's money or keep it in his pocket. He doesn't want the people of Burkina Faso to worship him. He only wants the economy to grow and favor the citizens. What a good, brave and honest leader he is. The spirit of past African heroes like Sankara, Mugabe and Gaddafi is with him. Today, many African countries are proud of Ibrahim Traore. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.
Awesome, guys. That's what I wanted to share with you. It's a great topic to talk about, for one, because this is an epidemic. And again, welcome to this platform. Of course, if you're just joining me, this is Saving Africa Uncensored. My name is Ibrahim, and this is my Ibrahim Talk Show, where my goal is to give Africans civic education, because the reason why a few people continue to destroy Africans' lives and destroy the continent of Africa, and, millions and millions and hundreds of millions of Africans continue to live in abject poverty is because the people lack civic education. And until the people understand that they hold power, we're not going to make any progress. They've used tribalism, religion, partisan loyalty. This is my political party. This is where your mother and father was born, so you cannot leave this party. Oh, no, there's only two parties that could, win elections in this country. That is what they've used over and over again across Africa to destroy, the mental faculty of our people. And however, they say the hand that feeds you, you owe your allegiance to. So a lot of Africans don't even understand that every 4 years or so, they come to them, give them some rice and some drugs or some alcohol, and they say, vote for me again, and they vote for them, because that is all they know. But Africans, people like myself and many other platforms across Africa, we're here to discourse and talk about these issues and make sure that other Africans wake up so that we can hold our leaders accountable. So these guys are all corrupt. They think about themselves. They're selfish, self-centered. They distribute the wealth of our nations to themselves, their families, their wives, their girlfriends, their boyfriends. They don't care about the people. They act like they care, but they don't. They act like they're Pan-Africanists, but they don't. But Ibrahim Traore has been the guy who has been, setting the foundation. And this is why a lot of these leaders don't like him. And we know a lot of these leaders don't like him. But look at him in his hospital in Burkina Faso.
Traore is the first and only president who receives medical treatment in his own country. He built hospitals to a high standard so that even a president can be treated without complaint. He doesn't steal the country's money or keep it in his pocket. He doesn't want the people of Burkina Faso to worship him. He only wants the economy to grow and favor the citizens. What a good, brave and honest leader he is. The spirit of past African heroes like Sankara, Mugabe and Gaddafi is with him.
Yeah, I wanted to share this with you. So without much ado, I also want to share this, because, of course, like, Nigerians know that for almost the whole term of Buhari, he was always in Nigeria, and also when you look at, the situation of the president, of Sierra Leone, back in 2021, in the thick of COVID, look at him right here. In the thick of COVID, him and his wife, they claimed that he went, on holidays to Lebanon. But we all know that he went there, for medical checkup. Because, for them, Africa is like a cemetery. They don't care about Africa. But again, this is the president of Sierra Leone and his wife in 2021. Going to Lebanon to seek medical care when nobody else was traveling. These guys don't respect their countries. They don't empower their nurses, empower the medical system so that they can use it themselves. And what we want to do is make sure that we raise the awareness so people would learn to understand that, these leaders we should, as a people, hold them accountable to ensure that, they use the healthcare that they tout and talk all this nonsense that they talk about, the healthcare. Oh, we've built hospitals, but they don't use the hospitals. Their kids don't use the hospitals. Their families don't use the hospitals. I mean, the closest family, because not everyone, some of their families are suffering as much as the vast majority of the people themselves. But civic education is key to open up your eyes. But let me play this video of, Nigeria, Buhari, as an example of African presidents, constantly traveling to seek medical care. It's a shame, Africa. African people, wake up. Listen to this.
Now, African leaders and the political elite often shun hospitals on the continent to seek treatment abroad. VOA's Paul Cisco tells us more.
Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari is back home. Throngs of cheering people lined the streets in Abuja, Nigeria over the weekend, welcoming their president home. The president has spent much of 2017 in Britain, receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness. President Buhari arrived in the capital Saturday from London, where he had spent more than 100 days there under medical care. It was his second medical leave this year. In January, President Buhari left Nigeria on what was first billed as a 10-day vacation. But his time away was later extended with a letter to the National Assembly saying his doctors recommended more time away to deal with his health issues. That London sojourn lasted over 50 days, fueling rumors and false reports of his death. Muhammadu Buhari is not alone when it comes to African leaders opting for foreign medical care. Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe has visited Singapore several times for health checks. Meanwhile, his country has suffered through frequent strikes by doctors, nurses, and medical personnel at the nation's public hospitals, protesting low wages. In Angola, after a prolonged absence, officials confirmed longtime leader José Eduardo dos Santos was on one of his regular health checkups in Spain. Despite its oil riches, Angola's infrastructure is suffering. Last year, yellow fever claimed several victims after severe waste collection cutbacks. Benin's President Patrice Talon has had at least 2 surgeries on recent visits to France. Over the last decade, multiple African leaders have died in office, did so while seeking treatment abroad. Zambia's Michael Sata died in a London hospital in 2014. In 2012, Ethiopia's Meles Zenawi died in Belgium. Gabon's Omar Bongo died in Spain in 2009. President Malam Bakai Sanya from Guinea-Bissau died in France in 2012. Levi Manawasa from Zambia passed away in France in 2008. Many leaders promise improved local health care when campaigning for office. Clearly, the expense of their entourage and travel for better, more expensive treatment in Europe or elsewhere might better be used to improve medical treatment at home. The United Nations World Health Organization says Africa has the world's second worst health care shortage, a shortage in excess of 4.2 million health care workers. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, has some 15,000 Nigerian doctors working outside the country, primarily because of poor infrastructure at home and facilities, lack of drugs and resources, and poor, incomparable wages.
Absolutely.
Paul Cisco, VOA News, Washington.
This is what is actually happening, guys. This is the reality of what we're dealing with in Africa. Like I was saying again, you look at the president of Sierra Leone, who is illegal, by the way, Julius Maada Bio, and also acting as the current ECOWAS chairman. Very illegal. But this is what has been happening. These are the things that we're talking about across Africa. I mean, look at Julius Maada Bio in 2021 when everybody was crying about coronavirus. Nobody was traveling. This is him and his wife. And the African Express, by the way, africanexpress.com, you can go and visit their page. They talked about this. You know, they reported this at the time. And, you know, his blind supporters were, all over the place. Like, it's okay, it's normal. When nobody else was traveling, Julius Maada Bio was traveling across the world. This is the situation we're dealing with. And this is how sad and pathetic it is. And this is why we have to call these things out. You see, because this is Julius Maada Bio. Look at him here. And his wife. President and First Lady spent $10 billion, which was $1 million. They claimed they were on vacation in Lebanon, seeking medical care. That's what it was. That's what it boiled down to eventually. If we read this together, right here, on a January 5th article on travel expenditure by the president of Sierra Leone, we reported, this is the African Express, we reported how the country's president, Julius Maada Bio, and his wife, Fatima Bio, spent more than $5.2 billion, which was $520,000 on travel cost and per diems in December 2020 alone. We highlighted in particular that aggregate withdrawals from the local and overseas travel account held at the Bank of Sierra Leone, the nation's central bank, as of Christmas Eve on December 24th, 2020, show that a cumulative 5,217,538,692.86 was withdrawn. Guys, this was back in 2021, 2020, as you can see here, the African Express reported 2020 all the way back. But these guys are always traveling. Look at them here. Traveling during the coronavirus to go seek healthcare in Lebanon. So this is the problem that we have across Africa. And Ibrahim Traore has changed the narrative. And this is why these guys are not happy with him, because they feel like he's changing the narrative, and Africans are going to wake up and Africans are going to understand that it's time for them to stand up and ask tough questions. Africans should demand that their politicians, presidents, their families, their wives, their girlfriends, whatever the case is, should not be seeking healthcare overseas, but rather be seeking healthcare back home. This is what we should ask for. This is why civic education is important. Because until the people of Africa stand up and say, you know what we want is an Ibrahim Traore. Our presidents should not be seeking healthcare anyplace else, but in our own countries, in our native land. Nothing is going to change, guys. And that is why I wanted to share this with you. But it's a shame. It's a disgrace. But African people, the ball is in your court. You have to wake up, share this with your friends and family, young boys, young girls, young, youth, Gen Zs. We see you in Kenya. We support you. We stand with you. We see you in Togo. We see what you're doing. We see you in Liberia. We support what you guys are doing, standing up for the right things, defending your democracies, upholding your freedoms, asking for more, asking for better. That is what we are seeking. Hopefully Sierra Leoneans will wake up to that reality, because they're just as, suffering as much as most of the other African countries. But of course, the opposition banded up with the ruling governments today in Sierra Leone, and they're going against the will of the people. So it's hard for the people to form themselves. Civil society organizations have sold out. They're no longer there for the people. The lawyers are doing their own thing. Imams and pastors are doing their own thing. Nobody cares about the people. The people are left by themselves. So they cannot even stand up to oppression, suppression. The people cannot even ask tough questions, because Julius Maada Bio is going to slaughter them. He's going to kill them. The people speak up in Sierra Leone, they get killed. They get assassinated. We saw it with Evangelist Samson, commonly called Hassan Doumbouya. Was assassinated just because he's doing WhatsApp audios. Because even if he was accused of organizing a protest, even if he organizes a protest, what is a crime in organizing a protest when it's protected by the Constitution? This young man was chased in Makeni town. He was killed. There's a BBC interview to that effect. Research it for yourself. The BBC interview of Julius Maada Bio, the August 8, 9, and 10 protest. It is there. Killed Hassan Doumbouya, Evangelist Samson. Protesters were pulled from their homes and killed. They were shooting rampantly, and bullets were killing people innocently in their homes. Jibo is another case of what happened. So these are the things we're saying. When people want to stand up in Sierra Leone, they are not allowed to, because the opposition is just as useless as the ruling, unfortunately, illegally occupying office, the illegal government in Sierra Leone today. These are the facts they don't want you guys to know. But yes, the fact is Ibrahim Traore is opening up the eyes of Africans. He's opening up the eyes of Africans to know that African leaders should be using their healthcare in Africa. And this is a send shockwaves down the spines of these leaders. And that is why they don't like him. They don't want him. We're standing with the Burkinabes. Stand with your Ibrahim Traore. Don't allow anything to happen to him. Defend him. Be ready to defend your land. Really just wanted to talk about this, share this video of Ibrahim Traore using his hospitals in Burkina Faso. So I just wanted to send a shout out to him there and let him know that we're with him. And this is why African leaders are jittery, and they don't want him there because he is exposing and disgracing all of them. But again, the ball is in the court of the African people. It's up to them to ask tough questions and demand more from their political leaders. That is why people like myself and my platform are here to make sure we sensitize and educate the people of Africa to demand more. No African president should be using their healthcare overseas. No African president should go overseas for healthcare. Let them build our systems back home. Just like in education. No African president child should be attending private schools, paying thousands of dollars. That is what is happening across Africa. Their children attend international American academies, British academies in their countries. That is if they're in the country. If they're not, they're overseas attending school. But yet the people in the villages are still struggling with having a proper blackboard or even having a proper structure to have their kids educated. But the same people are voting for these idiots. Who's stupid? Anyways, it's going to take some education, some information. The advent of the fourth industrial revolution is definitely going to make an impact. And we are hoping that people are getting this message. Because at some point, we know the police, the military, they're using them against the people. Judiciary, they're passing laws now because of, they know the internet is powerful. We've seen a lot of cybercrime laws being passed so they can use it to suppress and oppress voices of dissent. Like myself, of course, if I go back home to Sierra Leone today, they will just harass me for no just cause, lock me up for no reason, just because they have the power, they have the military, they have the police, they have the judiciary. They can concoct charges against me to lock me up. Why? Because I'm speaking these facts like I'm giving it to you. That is what is happening across Africa. In most African countries, we've seen the deterioration of democracy in these countries because they don't want to allow people like myself that have critical voices to educate the rest of the masses out there so that the people can understand that the power is in their hands. When the day the people lose their power, they lose their fear. The people lose their fear, they lose their power. It's the reverse. The day the people lose their fear, it is the day they lose their power. But it's going to happen. Africa is going to transcend. And my country, Sierra Leone, is going to transcend as well. One day, the people of Sierra Leone will stand up and say enough is enough. And we're going to take a country back and give it to leaders that they know deserve to govern them. It's going to happen across Africa. The revolution is coming.